This is my time machine. This is the telescope called Mayadi 600. And you can see Saturn rings, Jupiter moons, and actually different galaxies, Andromeda also, when the sky is clear.
Hello and welcome to PCP, Pop Culture Psychology, True Crime Edition. I am Ilana, aka Elmar Superstar. Let's dive right in. I have always been fascinated with true crime, and over the years it has definitely become a part of pop culture with different movies and series. I decided to do a case that was so baffling, so inconsistent, and so head-spinning that this is going to be the first of a multi-part series. If you follow me on Instagram, you know exactly to whom I'm referring. Today's video is going to be about the death of Bollywood actor Sushant Singh Rajput, who was believed to have committed suicide, but now it is looking very, very likely that it was a murder. Before I get into the video, I would like to thank everybody that listened to me talk about the case for weeks and weeks on end. I wanted as many different opinions as possible before I made my video, and I'm so glad that I did. So thank you all so very much. And I would also like to add that at any point throughout these videos, I am prone to tear up or get emotional. I am a bit of a sensitive person. I've been told that I wear my heart on my sleeve, but this was a story that just really shook me. It wasn't like with any of the other stories that I've covered, like with Honey Boo Boo. It was sad, but I moved on. Micah Stauffer, it was despicable, but I moved on. With Sushant, it's a different story because the narratives are constantly evolving. Today, we are going to get into the suicide theory that was quickly debunked, but why somebody like myself did believe it. Then we'll be discussing nepotism and groupism in the industry. And finally, what to expect in part 2 of this series. I was not an overwhelmingly big fan of Sushant Singh Rajput, like I am an overwhelmingly big fan of Hrithik Roshan or Karthik Aaryan. I had only seen one film of Sushant's called Rabata, which is about an 800-year-old love triangle reincarnated into 2017 Budapest. From a writer and filmmaker's perspective, the story had a few flaws, but overall I thought it was unique. I thought it could be adapted very well for American audiences. Sushant was charming, and his chemistry with his leading lady, Kriti Sanon, was lovely, and the soundtrack was amazing. It was a really interesting story, so I was surprised to hear that it was a critical and commercial flop. Luckily, Sushant gave many memorable performances throughout his career. He had absolutely everything it took to be a star. He was the complete package. He was young, he was very talented, he was nice looking, he had a good body, he was an amazing dancer. He was also very intelligent, which we will be getting into in just a little bit. My heart just really breaks for his family, and at the end of all this, I just want them to have justice for Sushant and for them to have some kind of peace and closure. As we will come to find, this is not the Singh family's first encounter with tragedy. Krishna Kumar and Usha Singh had 6 children. Their oldest son, a boy, died when he was only 1.5 years old. They had 4 girls after that: Shweta, Meetu, Priyanka, and Rani. But the family always prayed for a boy. And on January 21st, 1986, their dreams came true with the birth of Sushant Singh Rajput. Unfortunately, this happiness was short-lived when Sushant's mother passed away when he was 16 years old, and what would turn out to be his final Instagram post was about his mother. As I previously mentioned, Sushant was very intelligent. One would even say gifted. He ranked 7th in the entire country of India for entrance into the Delhi College of Engineering, as well as clearing 11 other entrance exams. He was also a National Olympiad winner in physics. During his 3rd year of college was when he discovered his love for the performing arts, and he became a background dancer after dropping out of college. He then transitioned into doing theater work and television. He was very popular in television. But it wasn't until 2013 where he made his debut in Bollywood with Kai Pochi. He earned a nomination at the Filmfare Awards for Best Male Debut. In 2016, he again earned a nomination at the Filmfare Awards, this time for Best Actor for M.S. Dhoni, The Untold Story. Sushant was only 34 years old when he unexpectedly passed away on June 14th, 2020. This adds on to what has turned out to be a devastating year for Bollywood, occurring nearly 2 months after the back-to-back losses of beloved actors Irfan Khan and Rishi Kapoor. Tributes came all over the world, from other Bollywood actors to international figures such as John Cena and PewDiePie. I'm going to link PewDiePie's video down below. I thought he did a really awesome job with it. He felt that he was able to relate to Sushant because they were both engineering majors and came from families that valued higher education and a good job. And he also demonetized the video, and I thought that that was such a class act. For a brief period of time, the public was led to believe that Sushant was depressed and killed himself. What if I told you that this was not the case? What if I told you that Sushant was murdered? Lastly, what if I told you that Sushant Singh Rajput was murdered because he wanted to do the right thing? As this is a multi-part series and an ongoing investigation, we will further delve into that down the road. But for now, I want to discuss the depression angle. When I originally wanted to make this video about a week after Sushant had passed away, my narrative for the video was very different. It was going to be all about how I felt really badly that he was suffering from depression and how I could relate to this. I have been suffering from depression on and off for most of my life. At least that's how it feels. And I've had those feelings before where I felt like I was at my lowest low and that I didn't want to carry on. But I knew that my story was not meant to end at that point. Judging from other tweets of actors saying, "I knew what you were going through, I wish I would have been there for you," the depression angle was definitely believable. This narrative further sets back the fight for mental health awareness. Not to mention, it further fuels the stigmatization of mental health problems, especially in men, and especially when you have people like this that exist in the world.
Baby, he's depressed. Oh, I'm so depressed. He suffers from anxiety. He said he has suicidal thoughts, but insisted he would never commit suicide. If you're not gonna commit suicide, if that's just like not on the table, why would you even bring it up?
I know that it was on record that Sushant was taking some kind of medication or antidepressants, but that he'd been off of them for some time before his death. Sushant's family and friends have all consistently debunked the depression theory and that he actually committed suicide. I believe that he suffered depression to a certain extent. I don't think it was as severe as other depression cases that we've heard. Throughout his career, Sushant was offered many films that for some reason or another he had to turn down. One of those has recently come into play, being Sanjay Leela Bhanshali's Goliath Ki Ras Leela, Ram Leela. Translation: A Dance of Bullets, Ram and Leela. It is a modern-day retelling of Romeo and Juliet in the underworld of the Gujarati Mafia. This film would later go to Ranveer Singh. In my opinion, I feel that Ranveer Singh was probably Sushant's biggest competition in the film industry. They had a very similar look, and they even have the same last name. So when this happened and the nepotism and groupism debate opened up, people thought that Sushant's downfall of sorts was done as a calculated move to up Ranveer's career, especially because Ranveer does come from a film family. The question is definitely raised about the film industry being corrupt. Do I think the film industry is corrupt? Let me put it this way. If the Hollywood 10 and the Me Too movement and Jeffrey Epstein have taught us anything, then yeah. What film industry isn't corrupt in any part of the world? I want to go into now to somebody that has been quite vocal, or at least was quite vocal about all this from the beginning, and that is another Bollywood actress, Kangana Ranaut. Artistically, Kangana has proven her worth. She is a 4-time Filmfare winner, and a 3-time National Film Award winner, both of which are equivalent to our American Academy Awards. Kangana, for lack of a better word, is a hothead. Yes, she is very intelligent, she is articulate, well-spoken, but she is a hothead. Kangana makes some interesting claims. She claims that if you're intelligent, that you can't be depressed. And a lot of people throughout this have said, oh, Sushant was so happy he wasn't depressed. And I personally need to debunk these things. I don't feel, even if I didn't have the expertise that I do in this. I feel that depression knows no bounds with anything. You can be intelligent, you can be stupid, you can be a man, you can be a woman. It doesn't matter. Everybody is susceptible to suffering from depression, to suffering from mental illness. You can be the happiest person in the world. You could have everything. You could still suffer from depression. A famous Hollywood example is Owen Wilson. He was at the height of his career, he was doing extremely well, and then one day he attempted to commit suicide. It was also revealed that not only was he suffering from depression, he was addicted to cocaine and heroin. As I said, depression knows no bounds. And it's not fair to categorize that. And I think that's what is part of the problem, not part of the solution. Recently, Kangana has gone after Deepika Padukone for boycotting Sushant, and because of the depression campaign that she's been on, and she released a talk with a mental health professional on her Instagram not too long after Sushant passed away. I don't think that she has any right to be mad because this was the narrative that people believe. Unlike Kangana, Deepika has actually been on record commending Sushant.
Who do you rate really high on performance? Which actor?
I really like Sushant.
Then again, Kangana just will go after anybody regardless if they have an in or out in the industry. Kangana has insisted that top production houses like Drama Productions and YRF, Yash Raj Films, got together to systematically take down Sushant, and that Karan Johar of Drama Productions intentionally made the Bollywood remake of the film Drive a disaster with the purpose to end Sushant's career. I'm gonna go off track for a second and the cinephile is gonna come out, so just hear me out. I do not agree. Kangana should know this, being a veteran of the industry. I do not think that this is what happened. I think the reason why the Bollywood adaptation of Drive failed was because it was a Bollywood adaptation. Drive was a predecessor of sorts to Baby Driver. They both had action and crime and sexy elements and lots of cars. And I don't feel like a film of that caliber could play out into a Bollywood story with a very colorful, fluffy, vibrant treatment. Had the Hindi remake of Drive been more along the lines of a film like Andhadh Hoon or even Omkara that had very limited songs, I think that it could have done well. I feel that Kangana has used Sushant's death as leverage of sorts because she wants to even the playing field in the nepotism argument, and I think that that is so ugly that she would try and capitalize on somebody's death, especially if it was a murder. With the film industry, nepotism is bound to play a role. We see it here in America. It is very rampant in Bollywood, but I will say that in Bollywood regards, for every actor that has had one up due to having some kind of film family legacy, there have been just as many, if not more, actors that have made it on their own and gone on to achieve incredible and even some international success. One of those being Shah Rukh Khan, whose fan base adds up to 60% of the world's population. I have a very no-nonsense stance when it comes to nepotism. The nepotism in Bollywood is probably reminiscent to how people were outraged over the college admissions scam. If you have money and connections, it's gonna be easier for you in life. And I can attest to that. I have had many good experiences due to my nepotism of sorts. I've also lost opportunities because of it. Nepotism is a double-edged sword. When his family finally came forward, they did say that his murder, or his death rather, had nothing to do with anything Kangana has suggested. That is going to be it for part 1 of the series on Sushant Singh Rajput. In part 2, we are going to delve into Sushant's love life, which includes his girlfriend, Riya Chakraborty, who is public enemy #1 in India and the prime suspect in his murder. I will also be going into how Sushant's case is very similar to another celebrity death. That is Kurt Cobain. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and comment below on any other future PCP segments you would like to see. Until we meet again, bye everyone.